Hey guys, this is Turok, and in this video, I'll be reviewing One Piece chapter 1143. Sorry, it's my shark vacuum. Hope I let that go. So, in the last chapter, we saw that some things were attacking the Walrus School, and that final part of that was that the Miss Angie realized that somehow we'll find out in this chapter. I think it's this chapter. The children's imagination were coming to life and attacking them and attacking things. And these things were actually causing damage. There was one that looked like Jormungandr, and it attacked this Walrus school itself. That's right, because they were to take it out. They were being brought to life and just causing havoc. And there were other ones too. That my favorite was the one that looked like a demonic version of Nika. Out in the forest, and they were all these different things that the kids were talking about. Loki, Nika. That one's probably supposed to be Loki there. I just realized. And there was a Fenrir and the dragon, and there was even a bear. Actually, I forgot to bring up. and and then we saw that the other kids were being put to sleep and being walked off. And I talked about the Pied Piper story. And then we saw that the one. We'll see and hear what's happening. But the one teacher named the gym teacher named Mr. Was it Blade? There was Blade and Wolf. No, Mr. Wolf, the gym teacher, tried to stop them and he got damaged, and we will see here why. And then the others are like what's trying to figure out. We had Angie, Saul, and Tusk, who's the principal, trying to figure out why. Oh, I forgot to mention too. We meet this guy named the math teacher named Mr. Blade, and he actually blows a horn and warning about this stuff. And I was realizing that was the Heimdall reference from the mythology where he blows a horn that signifies Ragnarok. That was a cool thing there. And meanwhile, we had Loki is trying to get the others to force the others through not force. He's threatening to cause more damage to Albath because he's got his weapon with him, which we point out like it was very foolish to leave it with him. It's basically Mjolnir. By the way, we don't know if someone else can wield it then. Also, his scale is huge. So this was something I forgot to bring up too. There's this enormous sword sitting outside of Elbath, and it's even so big. I don't think even Loki could wield it. But it does lead to the idea that there must have been even bigger, maybe even bigger giants at one time that someone could wield that. Although I also was thinking a while back that maybe it's just Luffy, someone like Luffy with his power of to go bigger, giant size himself with when he awaken and goes into his awakening form could do that, grow big and just pull the sword out. So we'll see about that. But anyways, Loki has his weapon. He's got a sea prism cuff on, but he can still wield his sword, his weapon, and he's using lightning bolts and spew them across Albath, and that has caused a fire in one spot. And hold on. So the others in the village have figured that out, and meanwhile, yeah, he can't transform back into his. We can't figure out if he can transform or do something else with his devil fruit because he's got a sea prism on. So that seems to be stopping him that way. So, anyways, we start off this chapter. There's no cover story this week. The last one showed who's who getting defeated by Yamato, but let's get into this. We go to Saul, who's now following the children. Now he's still following, going forth where Mr. Wolf tried to do, and he's yelling to the kids, "Hey, what's going on? Are you listening to me? Where are you going?" Oh yeah, and the God's Knights talked about Nika. I don't know if we'll get more into that yet, but so he's walking along there, and I see the arrow too. They're still showing the little arrow. He's walking along to the left side, and you can follow the arrow thing that Gunko's using, and oh, he sees it. Yeah, what's with this white cloth? And Nami, that's right, Robin and Chopper are still with him. So Chopper probably looked at those other kids. Maybe those other kids are following now. He was examining the other ones that got knocked out. There was the ones that had previously been attacked, and then they were knocked out. Robin yells to them, Saul, don't touch them. We don't know what's going on. Mr. Wolf said there's something going on. And Chopper's like, yeah, he looked all messed up. And Saul, like, I understand, but I don't see anything wrong with them. And plus, they're walking, and if they keep walking like this, So he tries it out. He walks up to Yelva, the first one, and says, "Hey, let's go back to school." And immediately this circular thing of vines with thorns pops out and cuts up his hands, and then he falls over like, "Oh my God, what the hell?" And um, I don't know if he could see it, but it's shown in a drawing here in a way where we can see it. So it's wrapped just around Silva here. Um, and then we switch to someone saying, so yeah, is that Angie or the others? They're communicating to the others. They go, "This is the Walrus School. There's something going on with the children. They've all fallen asleep." And out of those, nine of them have started walking away from the school, but we don't know where they're going. Okay, so the other ones that got knocked out and Chopper checked up on never actually left. Okay, I've got to reread some of this week. Uh, uh, So we go to, yeah, she's communicating to the banquet area. We see Dorian, Broggy, and the others, and she says, "We're not sure yet what's going on here." Angie finishes, and then Dorian and Broggy are like, someone's like saying, "Oh, the kids! Wait, my son's there." But then she continues saying, as well, additionally, there's these monsters showing up in the forest that we've never seen before. Uh, and then the others like, obviously, like, "Oh, are the children safe?" And so she continues. We switch to just a view here where we see Nami, Brooke, and Jinbei, and as Angie continues saying, the children are traveling down Branch Route 8 at the moment. Uh, and we get a little title card here. We see a new type of transponder snail. This thing is enormous. We get a scale of it next to Nami or Brooke. It's several feet tall. It's called a transponder pill bug, and it reads underneath, "Only works in Elbath." Um, oh yeah, we saw Angie with one on top. So and then Jinbei's like, "Did something happen at school?" And then Nami's like, "Wait, I heard there's a fire too," because the others noticed it. The others here noticed it in the last chapter. What's with all this sudden danger? And So we switch to, I think this is outside of it. We're still here in the Western Village. We switch to someone on top of the roof who's surveying the situation. He's like, "Did you say Branch 8? He's looking over the forest, and you can see he's looking where a fire is. Probably the one that Loki caused. And he's like, "Oh, it's not looking good over there." Uh, so some of the other people, we switch to a panel. I guess it's supposed to be funny. We see Jarl and some of the other giants that are completely drunk now, and they're like, and Jarl's like, "Oh, the school. That's where my granddaughter is. Yeah, Yelva. So Yelva's his great grand. Is that what he's saying?" And another one's like, "Oh, how many generations is that?" Nami's like yelling at him now, like, "Guys, get up, snap out of it. This isn't serious. You drank too much." And we see Brooke behind her, like, "Yeah." And he's drunk too, basically. "Yeah, we all had. I think we gotta get it together." But here we go. The fire brigade I was talking about. We see a panel next that shows one of those a rowboat type things go off. This one, it looks dark here. I imagine it's supposed to be painted red. Oda's probably gonna make it look like a fire truck. And there you go. The firefighting Savar is on the case. So we see a group of men on the front of it. We see three of them. And that one got horns, or is that just their hat? No, maybe they're just wearing a hat. And they're running over to get to the fire. And but they get over there, but suddenly one of those apparitions made that the children are afraid of, the skeleton one, jumps out of the air and knocks their ship down. It's like, oh crap. So let's see here. Yeah. So unfortunately, I'm thinking this is being controlled by one of the Holy Knights to keep the mayhem getting worse. Because yeah, we see the ship get knocked down, and the last panel of this shot of this scene shows Dory and the others like, "Oh God, no! They got knocked down." And also this is the first time they're seeing the thing, one of those creatures. And so wait, let me get something up here. Oh, going the wrong way. Hold on. Yeah, so we switch to the nights, and we see Summers, and he's laughing his ass off. He's like, did you see how shocked those Giants were when they got stabbed by my thorns? And then he goes on with some quote. Oh, it's just like that saying: every love has its thorns. Um, so yeah, so clearly here he's playing a game. That's part of this game that Shamrock brought up, and Gunko's like, never heard of it. So Shamrock, Gunko seems like she's just a very blunt person who doesn't care much about all that kind of poetic and literature type stuff. Gunko, Summers even says as much, like, you're so apathetic, Gunko. You know that? Like, apathetic. Wait, what's that mean again? Because she's like emotionless. Wait a minute. Very bad some of the words. Apathetic. No interest or anything. Energy. Yeah. So they're sitting here while all this is happening. We see them on that branch, and they're sitting at a table eating, of all things. And so Gunko, Summer says to Gunko, you're so apathetic, Gunko. You just gotta understand, love is the passion to reach out and squeeze something, even though you see the thorns around it. And then he's like, the best part of this game, though, is also the parents and children. So he's enjoying essentially that he's having a good laugh at watching how Saul and Blade had tried to stop the children, and you saw Blade must have tried repeatedly, and he got all bloodied up, and now he's had to be treated because of that. Oh yeah, he's sadistic. Cause he goes on, oh, the parents will hug the kids tight, even with the thorns. And then the kids were screaming. And then the kids were screaming wail as they see their mom and dad crying in pain or dying in agony. And then he does this very dramatic saying like, oh, there's a real emotion in killing. And we get a little title card showing his devil fruit. So he holds out his arm, and he says, it shows his arm getting wrapped in the thorns, the same thing we saw and up here. They were like invisible at first around the children until we saw a Saul try to grab them, and they just appear on his arm, and it says he is a thorn fruit. So he just can produce plant like stuff, plant vines with thorns on them. Rose. I'm thinking this is supposed to be like roses because he keeps making this poetic stuff, and rose is always thought to be very like romantic and whatnot. By the way, I have to stop. I was reading this and I was thinking, I think this might be the first. No, this is the second. Really, sorry. This is the another of the few times now. There's two times I guess that we've had a canon devil fruit user using powers that relate to plants. Because I was listening to, because I've never watched many of the movies. I've only watched one film Z, and there was a guy in there who had a plant power to make like grass grow, and I think it was only that specific way. He was one of those ex-navies that were with that guy who wanted to kill off all the pirates. And I was listening to Tekking talk about how the that when you have these devil fruits show up in these movies, they're all non-canon. So they must have to go to Oda and say, "Hey, can we use these certain types of fruit?" Like they may have a list or something saying, "Hey, can we want to use a certain type of fruit in one of the new movies? Can we do this?" And there could be like a yes or no from Oda, basically, because he might have specific characters in mind who are canon. So we got Admiral Green Bull, who we just met at the end of Wano, and he is a Logia that turns into a giant tree and also seems to grow plants and stuff. So he was the first canon one I'm thinking of. Now this would be the second, where this guy here can just grow vines that have thorns on them. So he's probably still in this case this guy would be like a paramecia, but he has this specific thing that can be he's able to grow it elsewhere, and that's why he's using it around the kids. This, like I said in the last chapter, to stop them, the children, from being restrained by the Giants, so that they continue down this course. And we'll see right here. So he's still chuckling away, and he's eating. And you see, like it looks like they're at a fancy table and stuff, and we'll get into that. And he's like, death by love, isn't it exciting? And Gungo's just like, eh. She's just like, while she's eating, and he just falls over like, oh, no reaction. I guess you're a woman who never knew love. And Killingham changes his topic, like focusing on the mission again and saying, "So which route did you choose, Gunko? There was a thick branch that ran down the middle." So she said, and they show a little map here from the Owl Library heading toward a port near the village. That's it. And she's like, if they walk straight, they'll reach the village's sea clouds. Oh, I see what's going on here. So they're trying to kill the kids, I think. Yeah, I thought they were going to capture them, or maybe they still are. Because the way in this next panel, Summer says, that's the middle one's good. It stands out better. It'll make their utter futility the more apparent. So it sounds like what he's trying. They're hoping that the people will keep trying to, or at least from his angle. What's going on there? It sounds like from his angle, Summers will have enjoy watching some of the children die and watching the Giants be unable to stop this from happening. Oh, wait a minute. If that's a devil fruit ability, couldn't someone though use hockey? I just forgot. Saul tried to grab the kid, but with his bare hand. This is a devil fruit ability. What if you use enough hockey in your arms, then you can still grab it and protect yourself? Why hasn't someone tried that yet? Saul's got to try that. We saw him use hockey. He knows how to use hockey. He used to be a high level admiral, vice admiral, so he's been well trained, and he used the hockey to take out the Jormungandr operation. Wait a minute here. Wait, that was weird. So why did he do that with him? So, anyways, we're gonna get something here where we get to see what Killingham's fruit power. This is the extension of the kids, what's happening with the kids. So Killingham turns to Summer and says, "Hey, I need more salt." And Summers thinks about salt, and he's like, "Yeah, salt." And then we see these little rings going toward Killingham, and then a little cloud. And so Killingham, Summers falls asleep, and then Killingham's going into this little cloud that appeared above his head as Summers keeps sleeping, and pulls out a thing of salt, dish of salt. And he's like, what kind of salt should I get here? Asphalt? No, asbatch? What? Asbatch? Anyway, so we see his fruit name here. So he's got the dragon fruit mythical type, and his model is called Kirin, the dream manifesting man. Oh, I forgot to look that up. Hold on, let's look that up. So it's something from Chinese mythology with with the same kind of similar with but it shows this more like a mythical deer-like thing. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I see it. Okay. Looks like there's a Yu-Gi-Oh card of it too. So it must have something to do with dreams. Okay, I see they got the same kind of flowing. His has clouds. Oop, hold on. So what's his name? Killingham has these flowing. It looks more like clouds here. Maybe because he's awakened, but it looks more like fur. Let me show you this one here. Where is this one? Yeah, let's move this timer because I gotta. So look at that there. That looks kind of like what it might be. Oh, hard to show. I have to look. I'll put up that image later. Uh, so why is it? So Killingham's the one doing this thing essentially with the fruit, with his fruit to create dreams. So Summers asks, "You pulled those sleep tids? What about those sleep tids you pull out of the branch dreams? So the monsters, the apparitions, I'm calling them." And Killingham says, "Oh, I can keep them going at the same time." And so they're continuing to eat, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I can. This salt goes perfectly with the meal. I'll try some too." Someone else. Uh, so he's making this. So this meal essentially is them just not, is eating fake food. It's not really. It's like somehow, but somehow the senses still seem to be. Their senses are being tricked, into eating, but it's not really. I don't know if it's really gonna fill them up. I think they kind of emphasize it doesn't. Also, by the way, we got stopped. We got another dragon fruit model here. Why did I say that? So we have Kaido, who's got the Azure dragon, and technically, I think is that kind of a translation? I was watching the episode with Queen fighting Big Mom a little while ago, and they call it so the all the other the members of under Kaido have myth ancient zones. So we have Brachiosaurus, we have pterodactyl or such, something like that that King has. So, but they were still categorized as dragon fruit, but they were different models. Is that kind of like a translation with the dinosaurs for like what Japan would call them, the Japanese language? But anyways, this is cool now that we got someone else who's a dragon, because now it's an actual dragon. Because also this is a dragon fruit, but that I thought Kaido's was like the mythical fish fruit, right? Oh, I gotta look that up afterward. I'll figure that out. So, someone continues. Is this Killingham or Summers? I think this might be Summers. It might be Summers. It said also speaking of boats. Apparently, the way these giants travel around here is they can draw rainbows, and then with these things they call painter rocks. And so we could just, someone says, oh, that's a unique culture they got here, unique abilities. And Kellingham's like, oh, so what I have to do is take one of those, and then we can use that to return to the Holy Land. Because I think they're still planning on taking some of the kids as a hostage. Even though Summers sounded like he was hoping some die. Oh so his dream. That's the thing too. When they showed Summers, they say he's a thorn man. They say here too at Killingham, he's the dream manifesting man. So his dragon powers, his this ability to mess with people's sleep and stuff like that. Um, you know, yeah, we see Gunko's enjoying whatever she's eating here, and she's going on. Oh, it's delicious. Uh, so we go on here. Summer's like, we basically won already. This is too easy. It's like a game for babies. And Killingham's like, oh, I'm full now. All this and 0 calories? All this and dream. Well, he's like, well, it's dream food, so it's 0 energy too. So it sounds like when they eat this stuff, it doesn't really, it satiates their feeling of the feeling of being hungry, but they don't actually. Cause maybe because their imagination and as an extension of his power can taste whatever they want. And he was talking about salt, needing salt for the meal, and I think Gunko took some of that fake salt. But it doesn't actually satiate them if they're really satiate their body's calories. Like if they need food, if you're starving, this will trick you. It sounds like he could trick you into not needing food, but you will need food. Like you can just cover up the feeling of it. Wait a minute. Come on. Yeah, so these guys are. I don't know if the plan here though is then to take the kids back to Holy and then call the Giants and say, hey, you better turn your rights over to us or we'll kill your kids. It does seem to be the kind of gist of it, what's going on here. And yeah, you can tell too that Summers is having a fun time here. Gunko just feels like I'm getting the vibe here that Gunko just kind of like wants to do the mission and go home. Killingham too looks kind of indifferent. He's getting more enjoyment here out of eating his fake food than anything, and so is Gunko. And Summers though is having fun with this as a game. By the way, I forgot to show this map too. So yeah, they're taking a path from the Owl Library right to the Western Village. So soon enough, I have a feeling Nami and the others are gonna see these kids here. So we show the next panel. Oh God, here's a 16. Yeah, so they're heading. They're actually we go to the panel. We see the kids are heading down that path, but that's where the fire is now that Loki caused. And one of them said, "Wait, the kids are heading toward that fire." I think that must have been. Oh wait, no, I jumped ahead too far. First, we go to Gunko. It says, "We got a problem though. I saw a pirate ship moored out there. I think Straw Hat Luffy and his crew are here. And then it goes to another part. So she's predicting that problem. So uh, I think Summers then speaks after someone says they're going to the kids are heading to the fire. It's like, see, you didn't expect this. This game got more interesting. Don't worry, if they die, we'll just send some more over there then. We see, the arrow, somehow Gunko's using her powers in conjunction with, um, uh, Killingham to make the kids walk in that direction. I don't know how she's doing it. They're just following. They're not like holding on to it or anything. They're just following the line like it's a path on the ground, like the yellow brick road thing. Oh, you could say. So we leave that part and we go back to the Loki and Luffy and the others. And Hiruden's like, "Damn you, Loki! Why are you doing this?" And then Hiruden and the other guy's like, Loki just goes, "Ha! Try and stop me, Hiruden." And he just starts laughing maniacally. And then he starts breathing heavy. So I think he starts seeing here he's probably getting a little winded. He's like, "Ha! You can't possibly stop me though, can you? You can't even lift Ragnar." And Gerd's like, "Oh gosh, I hope no one's gonna get hurt in the upper world, sun world." And Loki then looks to her and says, "Yeah, they will. You know how it is up there. Those flames will only spread further. So now you have to make a choice. Will you undo the last cuff and free me? Before he does more damage." And so we switch to Luffy and Sanji, and Sanji's like, "What's going on here, Luffy? Who is this guy?" He's like, he was really injured, so I just wanted to help him. Doesn't answer the question really. And Sanji's like, "Wait, well that didn't answer my question." And Loki then continues, "Oh, well all choose death. I'll keep taking the lives of those weaklings in the sun world. If you don't answer me." And Haruden steps up, like say, "All right, stop." Uh, um, And then Zoro says, "No." Zoro steps up and says, like, "No, don't listen to him, Haruden." And then Haruden just looks at him like, "Zoro." I think he's just thinking, "Zoro, I have to think of my people." Because remember, Haruden, he's the prince here. He's considered kind of like a bastard almost, but he cares for the people and he knows how to take responsibility. All right, someone keeps texting me. And so Luffy says, "Just do it. If he let him go, if he starts moving, I'll stop him." And that was the deal. Wait, why was he say? Uh, Wait a minute now. So Luffy gets ready to fight him. It looks like, and the Haruden's like, "Wait, Straw Hat. If you get too close, I'll electrocute him." I'm sorry, I had to laugh at that. He can't electrocute him. He fought, and then I wonder how much electricity can he do? Because Luffy is a rubber man. He can't be electrocuted. He fought Enaru, didn't work. He fought the people of Zou. They can produce electricity. Doesn't work. This is not going to work on him. Oh, my kitty's back. And so Loki's like, "Fine, I hear your answer." I think he's kind of implying like, I'm just going to keep destroying stuff. He's kind of saying. And so Gerd's like, "Stop it, Loki. You hit the children, there's no going back." Kind of saying like, you start killing kids, no one's gonna definitely ever forgive you already. And Zoro's like, "Go easy on him, Luffy, or Zoro, or his wounds will just get worse." Sorry, Luffy's getting ready, like, gum. But we switch to Loki saying, "Damn it, I lost it. I guess I lost this one." And Luffy punches him with a gear third type punch at Loki, and he doesn't even move or anything. And the others are like, "What?" And Loki just like falls over. So he ran out of energy. He was definitely like injured enough where he couldn't do a whole lot. And so he was trying to bluff them with how dangerous he was. That basically saying like, "You better let me free." So like Loki and the other Luffy and Zoro are like, "Oh, he's really not injured." but he was definitely harmed because we saw how much stuff that Gunko did to him, and then Shamrock did something to him as well. So, so we go to like a, it's like a little, they show a little panel with like the tree. I'm thinking that implies that a little time has passed. And then Zoro's like, I guess he really was at death's door. He was summoning all his strength just on a gamble. Or maybe when the others say that. Oh, hold on. Where was I? Come on. There we go. Okay, where was I? So, yeah, Loki was gambling on the fact on letting him escape. Then he would go somewhere else to hide and recover from his wounds. Uh, yeah, he would have escaped and gone somewhere in secret. And then someone says, I can't imagine that would have worked even if we had let him free. He had lost a lot of blood. And Zoro comes in and like says, well, should we let him die or what do you think about this, Luffy? And because he knows like again he's like thinking, should we even let this guy live? He seems very dangerous. And Luffy's like, I have business with him though, but we'll have to wait now. And so we switch to Roto, and he's like, it's true someone attempted to kill Loki, but that was a separate incident from a matter of his own crimes. And he's like, I think I know who it might have been. So he's figuring out. He's probably figured out could be the God's Knights based on the description. Was that because of what they said? What Scopper said? So we leave off with that. We don't get to that part. Anyways, Luffy goes, Haruden, help him out. Please don't let him die. I don't. I know he's done. You say he's done terrible things, but we can't let him just die just because of that. And we switch to Haruden, like thinking, oh, what? So he's probably maybe it's implying to that Haruden would have let Loki die like that, but in this, given his distaste for him and stuff, and we'll get into this a little bit. So we switched to some moments later where Gerd brought out medical stuff. She's got like IV things and such all attached to him. They got him laying down on a like a not really a mattress but something. Since someone off screen had asked how long it would take for him to get better, and she's like, "Oh, that could take months." And if you really want to see him recover, I have to get him out of here. But she said we can't. If he's taken to the village, they'll only want to execute him. And someone asks, probably Luffy, they hate him that much? And then someone else answers, he's an irredeemable scumbag. Is that Gerd saying that? So the others here, we see how, the scale here is definitely, the scale they're showing with him to the other giants is definitely about the same as what it looked like in the last chapter. He's nearly twice as tall as these other giants. We can see Gerd sitting next to his torso, treating him, and she's the shortest one though, but he's laying way out. And so like we saw Haruden in the Coliseum, and he was already ginormous. If we had Loki there, if Loki had been part of the Coliseum, he would have just kicked everyone out easily. He would have won just by standing there. And so we switch here because I mentioned his horns are real in the last chapter. We didn't really know that until this point. He had his helmet on, and the horns were sticking out, and we see that his helmet's off, and Luffy comments, "Oh, these are actual horns he's got on him." And what someone comments, I'm guessing Gerd, they're holdover of his ancient giant blood, just like his father Harold. And you can see them there. Loki there, it's bandaged up. He's got additional bandages there. And he's got the two horns coming just on his forehead. Luffy's sitting on one of them. Luffy, get off. Come on now. So we switched to a flashback here. This is an interesting one. We switched to Haruden thinking back to their childhood. And we see him, this is very touching in a way. We see that Harold was a good king. And we already had people's much praise given about him by other people. And we see him and Haruden and Loki together as children. and Loki was already much taller than Haruden, and I think because it wasn't Haruden actually older. I think it just shows here that Loki was already getting taller, and we just see Harold, and we only see him silhouetted here, and we see him. He's got the same horns as Loki, and he's going to you to like, I love you both, my sons. Like he's trying to say, I love you both equally. I don't have a maybe they were fighting or something because we kind of get an idea that later on that they like to fight. They squabble a lot as children do. I did that with my sister, and he's trying to give him this speech from a little like, someday I want you two to work together and support Elbath, to protect Elbath. I think it's kind of saying too when I'm gone. Um, but we switch to a separate scene here where Loki's standing over Hyrule and he's beating him up. He's got one of these kanabos, kind of like Kaidos or Yamatos, and they must have been, maybe they were sparring. And you see those other guards, probably I think it's supposed to be guards in the background, or it could be somewhere else. No, it looks like it's out in a village. I can see a building there, and it shows Loki saying, "I can't believe this weakling is supposed to be my big brother." And he starts laying insults upon Haruden because you're like, yo, you're just a bastard. You're not even father's legitimate son. So he's probably kind of saying, oh, I'm gonna be the king. You clearly can't. The old doesn't matter if you're oldest. You're a bastard. So someday. And then that last panel that shows Haruden getting up and wiping off all the blood, and he's like, we hear Loki's taunt, young Loki's taunts continuing. You hear that, Haruden? Your mother had filthy blood. Now Haruden's thinking back to this, and he you can see that the emotion is seeping out of him. He walks up to Loki and he's pulling out his axe. And who's doing that? Who runs up to him? The others try to stop. I think it's like, yeah, it's Roto and Severson run up to him like, Loki, Haruden, what are you doing? Don't lose your temper. And Haruden's like saying, I think they grab onto him, but then he's like, and Haruden yells, I'll never forgive him what he said, insulting my mother and killing our father. And Loki, we can see he wakes up and he's like, go ahead, do it, you sad little berserker. And then he says something. This is where it ends. We reach the end here. He's like, oh, perhaps instead of indulging in your petty personal drama, why is it your? Don't you mean? Take a look at the woods around us. Woods? Why would it? They all say I went and killed Dad with pure murder in my heart. But you don't believe that, do you? And then Haruden just like, this just stops Haruden cold. And that's the end of the chapter. So I've read this like when this came out, and I've been puzzling all this. Does that mean then Loki isn't at least patricidal? So we can see Loki is kind of malicious and messed up, but like now I'm confused by this part still. Like, did he really not kill? So what happened? Was there like a fight? Did I'm guessing a fight broke out by him for him and by him and Harold, but this is, yeah, I can see where this is going kind of as far as like he died and Loki probably was framed perhaps for the murder of Harold. So the implication too here would be maybe Loki, as messed up as he is, would never want to kill his father, but also the story we've been told is that he wanted the devil fruit, a special devil fruit that had been being protected by the royal lineage for eons or like multiple generations, and Loki, they said Loki wanted it, and then he killed Harold to get it. But clearly too, he was quite a dick when he was a kid. So we see, yeah, it looked like him and Harold, like I said, he looked like, you could see in this flashback he was being spurred on by other people who would not have liked that Harold had a relationship with a giant from another nation and had Haruden as a child, and so wouldn't accept him because I talked about this. It was the 141 chapter where like I was talking about the how this is something that we've seen in real life, and I was the one that's fresh in my mind is the story about Alexander the Great and how because his mother wasn't a Macedonian, there were some among the royal court of his dad that would not want Alexander to be the king, and so when Philip, his dad, married this other woman shortly before he died, there was someone else who made a toast and like, oh, finally we will have a pure blood Macedonian prince or child. They probably would hope for a son, and that pissed off Alexander, which is I think partially why some people thought he might have been the one to have his dad killed by the assassin. Anyways, yeah, so you can see in this situation that there's the same thing going on. These citizens, some of the citizens of Albath did not approve of Harold's relationship with another woman. And also, I like this thing. I wonder where Ragnar came from because he mentions here you can't even lift Ragnar. And then so maybe this. I wonder if this was a weapon that belonged to Harold or somebody else. If it's a royal heirloom of sorts, a special heirloom here would be like weapons could be heirlooms for a culture like this, definitely. Um, and anyways, yeah, that was an interesting chapter to go off. And I barely forgot. In the beginning here, we had so much going on too with the Giants trying to stop the fire and stuff. But we got to the end here now, and there are so many questions here. Also, I'm still confused too. What's going on with this fruit? I want to watch some other videos now. Like, what is up with this devil fruit that he's got? That Killingham has to make him be able to eat, but not and like trick the senses. The devil fruit's also a zone. It's a mythical zone, but it has these other powers. I hope Oda does, by the way, do that. Can bring in more mythical zones into the story that will have unique abilities. Because Luffy's does, Kaido's does. Now this guy does as well, and see what that brings about. I'm wondering if that's what Loki has, some mythical zone. Because he keeps thinking, and he sits on the Luffy like 10 chapters ago about him being like the sun god or something like that. So, oh, and it's still funny too. Yeah, Luffy can't get electrocuted. Um, did they chain him back up too when they did that? I think they did. I think they got him all chained back up here when they have him lying down. Also, yeah, it looks like Loki always in this version preferred a blunt weapon, or the carnival here has spikes. But uh, also, I love the silhouette of Harold, their dad. He kind of looks like a giant demonic vampire Count Dracula thing, because he's got these little things coming out of his shoulders where he has like a cape or cloak, and he got little something coming out those shoulder things, and it looks like back then even Haruden was wielding a little weapon. So he was clearly actually back then he had a sword because he wields an axe now, but he had a double bladed battle axe. But back then he had a sword strapped on his back when he was a little kid. Uh, and I'm wondering how big is Harold supposed to be there? I don't know, but Loki is so impressive how tall he is. Um. Anyways, that's all I got for today. I just did a double chapter review. I did the other one already in because I know I won't get any of this done over the weekend. So I'm nearly caught up. So the new one just came out. The rough one came out this morning or last night, maybe. I saw some people reviewing it already, but I'm gonna wait till next week. I gotta do 44, and actually, look at that. Even Roto was wielding his weapon there. It looked like they were ready to charge him actually almost there, but they didn't. I wonder if they were just like worried that I don't know. They're worried about civilian damage from the other of him to other things. Anyways, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching.